Hey everybody, so my name is LaPrecious and welcome to my channel. Let's talk with LaPrecious. So today I'm going to be doing a video about Santeria initiation or lucumi initiation as to whether it's necessary for you to be initiated. The reason why I decided to do this video is because I've seen a lot of priests and priestesses on TikTok constantly scream, constantly demand, and constantly tell people that in order for you to serve the Orishas and in order for you to be in the lucumi tradition or the Santeria tradition, that you must be initiated. And I'm here to tell you all that that is not true. The reason why that is not true is because a priest or a priestess cannot tell you whether you should be initiated or not to be a part of Santeria or Lucumi. The reason why I say this is because before you get into the tradition of Lukumi or Santeria, you're supposed to be in contact and to have a developed relationship with your ancestors, or whom we call the Egungun in the Santeria and the Lukumi faith. The reason why I say the ancestors need to be consulted first before you get into the Orisha tradition is because your ancestors know what's right for you and what's not. And a lot of times and sometimes people's ancestors were practitioners of Santeria or Lukumi. So they would be the best guys to go to and tell you if Lukumi or Santeria is for you. Because I know on TikTok, and I'm just going to tell y'all something, stop looking towards YouTube and TikTok for all the answers on spirituality. Like, yes, TikTok is a good guide. Yes, YouTube is a good guide, but also doing research, getting books, going to botanicas, and actually searching these people out to find out the information in the right process, because a lot of these people on TikTok and YouTube are just trying to become famous from Lukumi or Santeria, or just trying to make money off of Lucumi and Santeria. And it's also the case as to why they keep telling people to be initiated so much. Because, as I mentioned before you get into the Lucumi or the Santeria tradition, you need to develop or have a relationship with your ancestors or the Agungun. And also, if you want to be initiated into Santeria or initiated to Lukumi, you also need to have an Ifa reading done. An Ifa reading done is pretty much conducted by a Babalao or an Yanifa. Babalaos or Yanifas are high ranking priests that have been initiated at the highest pinnacle of Ifa, and they receive their messages that they give during the Ifa readings from the Orisha known as Arula or Rumila, because he is the Orisha of divination. And so when you're getting your Ifa reading, you're supposed to receive messages from the Orishas as to how they want you to live your life, the decisions they want you to make, whether you need to make an ademu. And an ademu is pretty much a food offering that's according to the liking of the Orisha, or if they want you to make an ebo to make things right in your life, and an ebo is known as a sacrifice. And so once you learn those things in the Ifa reading, you're not supposed to be left being confused. You're not supposed to be left feeling awkward or feeling lost or like you just don't know what to do. Also, when it comes to initiation, the Orishas are supposed to be telling you whether they want you to be an initiated priest or priestess or not. The Babalao and the Ayanifas are not supposed to be telling y'all that y'all need to be initiated into Santeria or Lukumi unless the Orishas themselves have told them that they're supposed to be y'all's godparents. And the same thing goes for Santeros and Santeras as well, because when they're doing your readings, they're supposed to be telling you things based on what the Orishas told them to tell you. Not because of their own liking, not because of their own attunement, because the Orishas themselves have told them to tell you that it's time for you to be initiated. It's time for you to receive your crowning, or it's time for you to receive your elekes, or it's time for you to receive your hand of Ifa, or it's time for you to pretty much go through the full process of initiation. Another reason why I say initiation is not meant for everybody is because of corruption. We've all seen throughout the past couple of years that you have a lot of corrupt babalaos and yanifas and santeros and santeras that are ripping people off, taking all people's money, sexually abusing their godchildren, physically abusing their godchildren, being snippy and mean and domineering and dismissive, very catty and narcissistic, and leaving people hurt and scarred like they was in the church before they left the church to come into Santeria or lucumi. This is why everybody does not need to be initiated into Santeria or lucumi. Everybody does not need to be initiated into Santeria or lucumi because everybody should not be a priest or a priestess. Everybody is not destined to be a priest or a priestess, and there's nothing wrong if you are not a priest or a priestess, because I believe that a lot of people nowadays, they want to be a priest or a priestess to get people's money. Yes, being a high ranking priest or a priestess does carry a lot of benefits. You do get more respect, you do make more money, you do have more leeway with the spirits when you're working with the spirits on other people's behalves, and you do have a lot more powers than a regular spiritualist or a root worker would have, because you've been blessed and given authority and dominion over people and over other spirits by the spirits themselves, because you've been initiated under a priest or a priestess that has those same powers, if not greater powers than you. So those are the benefits. Yes, you do have priests and priestesses that do become famous. Yes, you do have priests and priestesses that do work with celebrities and famous people. You do have priests and priestesses that make tons of money up into the millions, thousands, quadrillions of dollars. But they should only be having access to those things because the Orishas have those laid out for them in their path of life, or that's their destiny. You got a lot of people on social media and a lot of people outside of social media getting initiated and getting into these religions and pretty much being a part of these religions, mainly because of the money, the fame, and the fortune that comes with it. Those are the wrong reasons to get into those religions. When you're working with the Orishas, you have to know what you're doing. You have to know the offerings that they like. You have to know their language. You have to know how they move. You have to know how to serve them, how to properly feed them. And you actually have to be trained in doing proper animal sacrifices, because, yes, in Santeria and Lukumi, but it's only on certain occasions where animals will have to be sacrificed. And animal sacrifices is not butchering up a goat, butchering up a pigeon or a bird during an initiation or a ceremony. You actually have to prepare these animals and properly feed these animals, and you actually have to cut them in the right body parts, in the right angles, and in the right arteries when you're doing these initiations and ceremonies in Lukumi or Santeria, because if not, you can curse somebody or hex somebody or just really spiritually jack somebody up. I've spoken to people and I have read for people that have kind of been screwed up a little bit from being under priests and priestesses that had no business initiating people, because you have a lot of people who have been properly initiated into these religions, but it's not even in their destiny to initiate other people, for the specific reason that I mentioned before, that everybody is not supposed to be initiated in these religions. Everybody doesn't need to be initiated in these religions, and that's not everybody's calling and everybody's path. Because I've met some people that want to be initiated really bad into the Lucumi or the Santeria religion. And when they tell me how they found out this information, it's a lot of confusion. The Babalao or the Yanifa or the Santero or the Santera didn't read them correctly, had no desire to initiate them, and just really took them through a lot of stuff with no type of guidance or any type of results or anything. And that's another thing you guys need to pay attention to, is that when people are doing work for you, you need to see results. If somebody is cleansing you in a cleansing ceremony, you need to feel different. You need to feel a lot better after that cleanse. If somebody is doing root work or spell work for you, you need to be seeing some changes, because if not, you're just wasting your money on nothing. And that's what a lot of people do, which is crazy to me, that they want to pay all these spiritualists and priestesses to do all this work for them, and it doesn't work. Another thing that I want to say about being initiated into Lukumi or into Santeria, not trying to be mean, not trying to be ugly, not trying to tell people what to do, right from wrong, or whatever, but it just is what it is. Because I feel like a lot of priests and priestesses, They want to constantly reinforce and constantly beat into people's heads that they got to be initiated, need to be initiated whatsoever, is because the same thing was done to them. Because one thing that I've noticed is that in Lucumi and in Santeria and in Ifa, there is like a lot of trauma that goes on. It's very like similar to like the black community. I'm gonna be honest with y'all, when it comes to Africans, especially Nigerians, the Yoruba Nigerians, they could have a really harsh way of getting their point across to people, whether it be the men, whether it be the women. And I feel like it's even in the religion as well. Because with a lot of Babalawos that I've spoken to in my path, they have been very like, you need to do that. Don't ask me questions. I say to do this. I say to do that. I need the money. I need the money. Give me the money and I'll give you the answers. Okay, I did it. And it's just so transactional, or it's very like harsh and domineering. And I feel like due to a lot of people being initiated and being taught and trained under people like this, that's why they come off to people like this. Because it's also a known fact that in the Yoruba Nigerian culture, there's a lot of toxicity that goes on as well. Because people joke about it on TikTok. They make like the memes and the TikTok videos about the Nigerian mother calling her son, "You big fat devil. Look at the devil. You're talking to the devil." Or like, "Shut up, don't talk to me." Very harsh and domineering and whatnot. And honestly, when you look at Santeria and Ifa, sometimes with these Babalaos and the Yanifas, you kind of get the same type of treatment, and it's not good. And even with black people, even within our own community, and even with the Hispanic communities as well, you get that same domineering, harsh like demeanor. Do as I say, not as I do, because I said so. I don't want you talking back to me. I can do whatever I want because I'm the authority. I'm the mother. I'm the father. I'm the priest. I'm the priestess. And you have to listen to me. And I don't think a lot of people really pay attention to those character traits and those behavior patterns that are seen within these religions that they become a part of. Yes, black people do have a right to know about their ancestors and what they practice, but I feel like a lot of priests and priestesses need to stop lying to a lot of people, especially black people, because from my experiences of working with Hispanic and black people as clients, the main ones that are getting screwed over money wise are the black people. And unfortunately, when it comes to black people, a lot of people know our power, which is why they enslaved us, made us slaves, and pretty much oppressed us because they knew that our ancestors have natural dominance. Like black people, we don't have to do a spell. We don't have to get initiated. We don't have to do any type of woo stuff to give us dominance or power. Our ancestors who had African blood naturally have that dominance. You even see it with 21 divisions and Haitian Voodoo with spirits like Ezelidanto and La Dominadora and Papa Candelo, as well as what's some other black spirits with Papa Legba, and as well as the other black spirits that are within Voodoo, and even with the Orishas, they have that natural dominance and that natural power because of that African blood and that African descent that's within them. And as black people, we should know this from living day to day life. A lot of people within these religions, they just want to screw us over and just tell us any old thing because they know how desperate we are and how we want to be in these religions. So they'll feed us anything. They'll tell us to buy up all the stuff, buy up all the candles, the ritual bath packets, and the little herbs and whatnot, making us feel like we're doing something when really we're not. And they're just taking all of our money and robbing us blind. And then when we're too late or we're too down the drain in financial ruin, that's when we start to realize, okay, it doesn't really take all of this to be initiated. It doesn't really take all of this to be close to the Orishas and Lucumi or in Santeria. And so we have to really like start paying attention and really opening our eyes to this stuff because a lot of people in Santeria and Ifa or Lucumi, they want us to be initiated to take our money. And when I say our money, I'm pretty much talking to black people now. A lot of these priests and priestesses, they only want to take your money. Because yes, you should pay for the services that people do for you. Yes, you should pay for the ceremonies, and yes, you should pay for the readings. But you should not be paying thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, and you haven't even received your hand to be filed. You shouldn't be paying thousands of dollars if you haven't even been crowned, or if you haven't even gotten to the point of making Osha or Haciendo el Santo, or pretty much making the saint, which is like the second to last thing you're supposed to do in Santeria or in lucumi to be fully initiated. You shouldn't be paying $5,000 to $10,000 before you even get to the last little steps of being initiated. That's when you need to think like, okay, this person is asking for a whole lot of money, and all I'm getting is eleques. When it comes to receiving your eleques should only cost you like a couple $100. The max they should be pricing you, and that's only if you're receiving all seven eleques. And most of the time, people who receive all seven eleques are meant for a priesthood or for like special occasions or special requests. But most people who are getting initiated into Lukumi or Santeria are only supposed to receive five in a ceremony, which is Shango, Obatala, Yemaya, Oshun, and Ilegwa. And if they don't want you, and I'm talking about the Orishas, if they don't want you to have all of the Lekes, and maybe Oshun is saying it's time for you to have my Leke, or Yemaya is saying it's time for you to have my Leke, you only need to be paying them at least 100 to maybe $200 for one Leke. And it shouldn't even be $200, especially if it's being blessed and received in the store or Botanica. Because I mean, it just is what it is, and I'm being honest. And some people may get mad or whatever, but a lot of these folks that's owning these botanicas, and even some of these bona fide priests and priestesses, they just trying to screw y'all out of y'all's money. Because a proper initiation into Santeria or Lukumi is supposed to be at max $10,000, if not between 5 to 10K. And the reason why it costs that much is because you have to pay for the ceremonies, the things that need to be used, the priests that are going to be there, the offerings, the superas, the panuelos that are used. Because Orishas, they do have their own panuelos that are used during the erection of the superas, when the Orishas are either being fed or spoken to or activated. So all of that money, it goes into that. Then you have to wear white for a whole year. Then you can only eat a certain diet. And if you're living in like an Ile, which is like a temple or like an Orisha house, that has, different little things going on there too, and pricing as well that you're supposed to follow and abide by when you're being initiated into Lukumi or initiated into Santeria, because it is what it is. These religions have rules, they have steps, they have proper procedures that really need to be followed. And I hate to say it, a lot of these priests and priestesses on TikTok and YouTube, especially, they're screaming to the masses and they're loud and wrong. I hate to say it, but they are, because they know they did not have to go through all that stuff that they putting other people through when it came to them being initiated. And I hate to say it, when it comes to a lot of the Latino priests and priestesses that are initiated non-Latin and non-diasporan, mainly transatlantic slave trade diasporan people, they're not being honest. They're not telling the truth. And a lot of these Latin priests and priestesses gained priesthood because their ancestors practiced it. And it was saved and it was preserved and it was passed through the family line. And they became priests and priestesses under their grandmas or under their great grandmas, aunts, parents, and stuff. And that's why they were given the gift of proper initiation. But a lot of times, due to racism and colorism and elitism and all the isms that come with the Latin community and even within the black community as well. That's why a lot of us, and when I say us, I mean black people mainly, cannot get into these traditions because of the history that's behind it, the mindsets that are behind it, and just a lot of icky wicky type of stuff. And I'm not saying that every black person is going to go through this, because everyone is not. But I'm saying that these are the things that you need to be looking out for. And a lot of y'all need to be putting y'all's thinking caps on because I see so many people just so rare and just so, ooh, I need to be initiated. I'm a Batala, I'm Shango, I'm Oshun. And you don't know anything and you haven't even been crowned with an Orisha and you haven't even been told who your Orisha parents are and who's with you. And plus, I'm gonna say another thing as well. When it comes to finding out who your Orisha parents are, you don't necessarily need to have a ceremony for that either. So the same thing with the Lekes and with finding out who your Orisha parents are, you don't even need to have an initiation for that either. Sometimes, depending on the reading style of the Babalao or the Yanifa or the Santero or the Santera, they can tell you who your Orisha parents are in the reading. And also, when it comes to finding out who crowns your head or who owns your head, it's either your Orisha mom or your dad who's going to own your head. Because when it comes to your Orisha parents, one of your parents would be your Ori, who is like the crown to your head, and the other Orisha parent would be the one that guides your feet, which guides you down the path of your destiny. And I know a lot of y'all may be confused and may be like, well, I've been told it was supposed to be done in a ceremony. Yeah, it could be done in the ceremony and it could be found out. But my thing is that if you're not meant to be initiated and you're not meant to be a priest or a priestess, all those ceremonies and stuff will not be necessary because if a person is a real Babalao and a real Yanifa or a real Santero or Santera and was genuine, they will want to talk to you and find out why you want to be initiated. What's your purpose behind being initiated? Why do you want to get involved in this religion so bad? They're supposed to be like the gatekeepers and the door openers. I mean, a lot of them are, but they're supposed to be for a good cause and a good reason and not for bad reasons and whatnot because that's their job. As them being the priests or the priestess, they're supposed to guide you between right and wrong, yes and no, and whether this is for you or not, instead of just taking your money and robbing you blind. I'm gonna say that I do ancestral readings to help people find their purposes, to help people find their path, whether it's with the Orishas or 21 divisions or Haitian Voodoo, because you are supposed to consult with your ancestors before you get involved in these religions. I charge $40 for my ancestral readings, and I could speak to your ancestors and pretty much tell you what your spiritual path is. I put my email that I take business emails through, and it's Precious Secrets, all lowercase letters, 12 at gmail.com. And you guys can email me about your findings or what you've experienced, what you've endured, what you've gone through, and I can pretty much help you. And I have Cash App, Venmo, and PayPal that I take payments through. So have a good day, have a good night, and don't forget to like, leave a comment in the comment section, and subscribe to my channel. Have a good day.